How Jordan Belfort Scammed Millions. Few players in the financial sector have as much power as Jordan Belfort over Wall Street's image as a selfish, cruel place. Belfort pled convicted in 1999 to many charges including stock market manipulation and the operation of a long-term scheme involving penny stocks. You've probably seen Wolf of Wall Street a dozen times or more if you subscribe to a business or finance-focused YouTube channel. It's a great movie, and it's responsible for spawning a new wave of sleazy salespeople all over the world. There is, however, one statement that continues to annoy me even after 7 years. I was just following you. There's no denying its importance. So please take notes. I even brought along paper and a pen. Sure, you could have thought that if you're anything like me, that's okay. However, true Jordan Belfort has said that the film is only based on his book to a limited extent. Certain things were excluded on purpose because their inclusion may be seen as facilitating the concealment of criminal activity. Please consider supporting the channel on one of the following platforms if you like this video and would want to see more like it in the future. Like how Martin Scorsese focused on the rise and fall of criminal leaders rather than examining fraudulent stock market conduct, numerous facts were left out of the film. But that's alright because you have me. Now is the time to learn more about the inner workings of the financial system so that we may uncover the mystery surrounding Stratton Oakmont's shady dealings and learn how Mr. Belfort managed to amass almost $1 million in illegal profits. When Jordan Belfort was fired from his job at the New York Stock Exchange company LF Rothschild, his career took off. Before the turn of the millennium, buying stocks was not as simple as entering a ticker symbol online. Investors used to call a real person, a stockbroker, and give them instructions on which stocks to buy and sell. Naturally, the converse was true far more often. It was the same while trying to learn anything. You can easily find out how much GME will cost in 2021 by doing a quick Google search. In the 1980s, if you wanted to know what was happening on the market, you had to either wait until the next day's paper came out or get in touch with your broker. Even Warren Buffett and Jimmy Buffett can't anticipate whether a stock will go up, down, across, or in trucking circles, as Matthew McConaughey brilliantly puts out. If it wasn't the case, why did they resort to this? Indeed, they reaped enormous commissions from these transactions. These days, most people expect their brokers to take no commission, but that wasn't always the case. Transaction costs of up to 2% of the total value of transferred assets were not unusual in the 1990s. Ordinarily, a stockbroker will get 1% with the remaining 1% going to the company the broker works for. Eventually, Jordan Belfort would find employment at the Investor Resource Center. While Jordan did work for many such companies, the film's depiction of one is reasonably typical. The over-the-counter brokerages are quite different from the LFES that are traded on an exchange like LF Rothschild. Exchange brokerages enable transactions on public stock markets. Stockbrokers in their office would send transactions to a crew of actual people on the NYSE floor who would then yell out the deals. Even though unethical behavior could still occur within this system to keep everything under control, the exchanges was able to exercise some degree of influence on all of the participants. An individual stockbroker or stockbroking firm may be banned from the trading floor if the exchange judges that their actions are detrimental to the exchange's reputation. Because stockbrokers depend on closing agreements for their livelihood, this would be disastrous for their business. The companies that are allowed to be listed on exchanges are likewise subject to stringent regulations. They investigate the company's bank statements, research the management team, and make sure the CEO's mom doesn't answer the phone when you call the main office. Businesses that operate online are one of a kind. Since they don't utilize an exchange, they circumvent a lot of the oversight and rules that come with using such a service. Businesses can approach these OTC companies directly and say things like, "Hey, I need $1 million in financing to pursue R&D on a new piece of radar technology that has military and civilian purposes." The broker will answer yes, but add that they keep half of the profits they help you make. These companies either are desperate for money to get their concepts off the ground or intend to utilize whatever funds they do get unlawfully. The 50% statistic is, of course, completely made up. It is estimated that OTC Brokers made only 10% to 20% of these transactions. Any company that has to pay a stockbroker 20% of the profits only to raise money is not worth investing in. That's the reason Jordan Belfort and his associates utilized high-pressure sales tactics to defraud unwary investors. Later, Jordan founded Stratton Oakmont, a division of Stratton Securities dedicated to OTC and regulated market trading. Later, Belfort, with his co-founders Brian Blake and Danny Porush, played by Donny Azoff in the 2013 film, purchased the firm and began to make changes. According to Belfort, he amassed his fortune yet he was plotting something far more ambitious. He thereafter employed stockbrokers to vigorously promote any stock of his choosing. Before making this order, he would make contact with unrelated but reliable connections who would buy a large number of shares in a little value company, preferably one with a market valuation of less than $100 million. When his connections or rat holes had accumulated a sizable amount of shares in the company, he would order his sales team to solicit potential buyers. There would be a buying frenzy that would drive the price higher, making it more attractive to potential buyers. The value of this company has tripled in the last week, so if you don't invest now, you'll be left out in the cold. When the price of the stock reached a certain threshold, Jordan would give the order for his slush funds to start selling. This would make it very difficult for Jordan's regular clients to unload the stock. A common tactic would be to teach brokers to ignore or deliberately drop trade orders from clients who contact them wanting to sell. This gave the shady players time to get out of their investments before the floodgates opened to regular shareholders. The money the rat holes made would be donated to Belfort, with a little portion kept by the rat holes themselves. The concept gained off when Stratton Oakmont began bringing firms public. To begin trading on a public market for the first time is known as an IPO. Although this process necessitates compliance with many rules and regulations, it ultimately makes it easier for a company to get capital on the open market. The underwriting firm is hired by the business to assist with the underwriting process and take on some of the risks. In the future, the underwriting firm will be accountable for ensuring the IPO is a success. Simply said, if the company's desired number of shares are sold at or above the IPO price, the IPO was successful. At its Stratton, Oakmont managed to attract a few firms to use its underwriting services instead of those of investment banks. Including the public once again in the trading process should have hampered Belfort's schemes, but not. He avoided the scrutiny and oversight of the public markets by dealing in over-the-counter stocks. Jordan, though, was not discouraged. A plan to improve these systems' performance was something he figured out. He would tell his underlings to buy stock in the company he was taking public. He planned to take the company public and then have his team of brokers sell IPO shares to everyone they knew. The stock price would rise as it had before. However, since Stratton Oakmont was now publicly listed, it can attract the attention of shareholders who've been previously unfamiliar with the firm. They may want to get in on the action after hearing that an IPO gained 50% on its first trading day. After the buying frenzy subsides, the shady traders may surreptitiously unload their stocks and make a killing. To create the perfect money-making plan, Jordan skillfully combined the uncontrolled aspect of more than activities with investors' inherent trust in publicly traded shares. And that's how Originality is born. If you haven't guessed by now, Belfort made his millions via a scheme known as a pump and dump. It seemed for a while that these concepts were on their way out of fashion. With the advent of internet stock trading platforms and easy access to market information, shareholders were no longer exposed to brokers who inflated the value of some small-cap firms. With the emergence of less stringently regulated crypto exchanges, pump-and-dump schemes have unfortunately returned. The only difference is that now it's gaming influencers and Discord groups trading in dumb trucker joke currencies for drunk stockbrokers and penny stocks. How Jordan hid his money also played an important role in the film. Please accept my deepest gratitude to my Patreon backers and subscribers for making it possible for everyone to continue their financial education.